Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
I'm joined by Claudia and Javier from Spence, Clarke to talk about Happy New Year, a bright new start. Looking forward to the future.
Happy New Year to you, Giles.
Yeah, and all that, whatever. So 2026, we approach the new year with a gleam in our hearts. Yeah, looking forward to it. So a new year, of course.
Yeah, and a cloudy sky.
And a cloudy sky.
And rainy days.
Yeah, it's perfect hangover
Doesn't
weather.
look the sun of the coast.
Listen, this is a beach day in Scotland. They're getting, niños a la playa, helado, factor 50. But did you both have a good I know it seems like an awfully long way away now, but it's the first time we've seen you this year.
You don't know what I did.
I shudder to think, Chloe.
Boxing Day. I was in the UK with my sister in St Ives, and I went into the water.
You went
without a wetsuit, with all the Cornish crazy people.
Yeah.
I've been watching it for many years, and I didn't want to do it. And this year was the first. It was really nice. You know why it was nice? Because the temperature of the air was 4 degrees, not minus, 4 degrees. So the water seemed warm because it was higher. It was nice. Yes, stop looking like.
Well, only because famously my birthday is in the middle of January, and when I was living on the lake and there was snow on La Concha, and I used to have a jetty that went, and famously I once filmed myself for a joke, and I decided to go for a swim, and I leapt off the jetty and I came out of the water like a missile from a submarine, and I had 2 bumps on my head because certain parts of my body shot up and tried to get. It was so cold. I don't do cold water swim. You, of course, just
more traditional. I went to Granada with my kids, watched the Christmas light, things like that.
Play with Lego.
The Reyes, playing with Lego.
Yeah. The normal.
More standard.
Did you do the roscon as well? Did you have the?
Yeah, of course.
Who got the?
It was my dad, actually, the one that had the king and the crown. And then my kid, my biggest kid, stole it from him. So he wanted that.
No, taking after.
And I have like 5 kings at home now. He is now collecting all of them.
Okay, fair
plays
enough.
with them.
That's good stuff. Now, let's move on. 952 78 4000, the phone number, or studio@tre.radio. You can WhatsApp me, +44 645 99 67 95. So did Hacienda, did the Spanish tax system, take this break? Did they relax? Did they think, okay, we're going to do an amnesty for everybody, it's a new year, we're going to be a happy, smiley, touchy-feely... No, okay, so are there, with a new tax year starting, are there any important changes that we should be aware of?
Well, there are a few, although probably none of them are what I would call structural reforms, but there are some practical changes that affect different groups. For example, for income tax purposes itself, we have now a state deduction of up to 340 euros. For those whose salary income is under 16,576 euros. Exactly.
Wow.
And I mean, in a sense, it is the same for workers in the lower brackets. And if the income is between that figure and 18,276, again, not a single euro more, the reduction will be reduced progressively. For many people, it will reduce the final tax bill directly. At the same time, for example, people who receive unemployment benefits will no longer automatically be forced to file a tax return just because of how the withholding system works. Until now, they will have to file that, but this obligation has now been removed. So if all you receive is unemployment income, and of course, it is under the general thresholds, of which, of course, we will talk when the time comes, you will not need to file. That's a real simplification.
I just love the way they always put in a number, 76, not 75, not 77, but 70. Somebody's had, 70. So, there, I heard, and obviously, if I heard it, but there was a rumour that Spain might introduce sort of an exemption, a VAT exemption for small self-employed workers, like they have in the UK and France.
Exactly. Yeah. Well. The EU actually some years ago proposed to their members that they could freely impose this franchise, like you've just said. So I thought, oh my God, this is going to be brilliant because, there's a big black economy in Spain whereby you have the plumber, you have a problem, electrician, and you call him. And then he says, do you want to pay 21% more or less, which is the VAT? And everybody says, no, please, without VAT, because it's a reduction. So here we are, this socialist government who is supposed to be the government of the workers. Yeah.
I've missed having you on this show.
The workers.
Here we go.
Yeah. So I'm starting my plumbing business or my electricity business, and I have to compete with the big businesses that they already have their clients, they already have their prices. Please help me reduce my price with 21%. Oh no, Spain decides not to. Opportunity to get rid of the black economy, because now if they had introduced this plumber that comes to my house would produce an official invoice without VAT, and I would have an invoice that guarantees that he's done work in my house. Now, not getting rid of this problem that we all have. No. Spain decides not to do it. I'm really, really disappointed with this decision.
I mean, they said explicitly they're not going to do it.
They said that we already have VAT reductions in our system. It's a lie. We don't have any VAT reductions, and this really would have helped people who start their business, people who temporarily want to do some sort of maybe a service for a few months. We have an artist who suddenly wants to paint and wants to... No, you have to have VAT on your... this was a great opportunity. They've missed it.
Yeah, because I mean, that is there is always... sort of people say, I want to come to Spain and I want to start a business and I can be my own whatever, or, I can...
No.
And
here you start the business, VAT, 90 euros for 1 year, social security. The second year you start paying 200, whatever. It's crazy. So not really a socialist government.
Okay, and that was Claudia, and she will be standing for Alcalde there. Anyway, let's move swiftly onwards. There's been a lot of talk because, as I always say, you could be in the Amazon, with a tribe that hasn't met a person before, and then Hacienda would find you. So there's been a lot of talk about greater monitoring of bank accounts and Bizum, which is obviously a way. Can you send me? I'll send you a Bizum. I'll send you 20 or whatever. What's actually changing here?
Well, it's really about banks. The banks are the ones that from now on will have an obligation to submit a more detailed information to the tax office. It englobes more things like in data of certain electronic payments, and those kind of payments, of course, include Bizum, but only when they appear related to business activity. So it does not mean that private transfer between friends. So if we go for a dinner and I pay all and you give me the Bizum, that is not going to be reported. That is supposedly not going to be monitorized and watched individually. It's more focused on freelancers who use Bizum as a payment method, and they now need to be very careful from now on, because now undeclared income can now be detected much more easily. So using a Bizum as a payment method when you are in a business activity will now be controlled, and the tax office will be able to cross-check what you declare in your declarations against what the bank is actually declaring. and the system, of course, will pick up discrepancies automatically. But in the end, for normal private individuals, at the moment, nothing changed. For business users, you need to be careful.
So I'm going to say, you're going to have to justify. So if somebody, pays for a meal, or you split a meal, or somebody sends you, 200 euros, are you going to have to say that was?
No, not at the moment.
Okay,
that's the thing that they have clarified.
Now, okay, we'll wait to see how that one works, because that could be very interesting indeed.
That is what they say. You never know. Then they can say, no, but the bank reported this transaction. What is this? So 200 euros for a meal? I don't buy that. Where is your receipt? Where is your invoice?
Okay, well that's going to be interesting as well. Now, we had a couple of special programs about this, because I thought that Verifactor was a Roman emperor. However, but we all got very nervous suddenly. People were dropping it. You're shaking your heads. People were dropping everything, and we were getting loads of calls in. So, what what on earth happened with Verifactu?
Oh my God.
And just
Here, again, the government, they decide that they want to control all the invoices we issue. Because as you remember, what Verifactum was that any business that issued an invoice, automatically it would have to be sent through Verifactum to the tax office. Any invoice which was not done through Verifactum was invalid. So their idea to control us. So they launched this, and all the businesses like ourselves, Spence, Clarke, we start saying we need to apply this because it's going to be, we need to find a platform that has Verifactum that we need to teach our clients to use so they can issue the invoices. And so in January 25, we start looking at this, working very hard. We decide and we choose a platform and we start to train our clients with emails, with videos, and saying this is going to happen from the 1st of January 26. In December last year, they say no, you accountants and you people who are doing the Verifactums are not prepared. This is what the lie they said. This is not true. We were all prepared. Spence Clarke was prepared. The government was really not prepared. And this is the real reason why Verifactum has been delayed to 27. Very disappointing again.
So, where are we with that? I mean...
Well, I hope they're doing their job this year, so they will be ready for 27.
Have they given us maybe a date? I mean,
it starts from 1st of January 27. So everybody needs to use Verifactum. Well, the companies in January, and then the autonomous in July. Let's see if it happens.
You should do a face-to-face Claudia versus Maria Jesus Montero.
Yeah.
In a special show.
I can see it now. You don't want to come on Viewpoint or something. I think it'll finally be a period. Okay, so once again, confusing, and it put the fear of whatever God you tend to believe in into lots of people here. Yeah. Okay. Should we talk about landlords' property? I mean, you must be having such a great time over there at Spence Clarke with all these bits and pieces, because once again, the government, one of your favourites, obviously, had this idea of 100% tax exemption for landlords because it all goes into housing, who freeze their rent. I mean, is this something that we should be taking seriously? What's your thoughts on this one?
Not at this stage, I will say, because as you say, the announcement made a lot of noise, but it is still just a headline. So there is no official law, there is no published regulation, there is no technical guidance from the tax office. So in other words, nothing has changed in practical terms. So nobody should rely on this for any kind of tax planning, especially because of the unanswered questions that this rise. We don't know whether the measure will apply nationwide or only for those stressed rental areas like Madrid, Barcelona, that they published a couple of years ago. We don't know whether it will apply only to renewals with the same tenant or also to new contracts. We don't know how the freeze will need to be documented. And of course, something that they don't usually think about, we don't know whether the measure will apply to rental properties that are outside of Spain, but owned by Spanish tax residents, which is a very common thing in our area. For example, a resident in Marbella with a rental flat in the UK, Ireland, or somewhere else must declare that rental income in Spain under the double taxation rules. But will that exemption will apply to them? Nobody knows, because again, nothing has been published. In essence, without clear legislation, there is no guarantee. And based on how this measure usually work, it is quite possible that they will be excluded entirely. On top of that, we don't know if this proposal has enough political support to survive the parliamentary process. Claudia has already mentioned that the government at the moment does not have the majority. So until there is real legislation or decrees, the measure does not exist in any practical sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting one as well, because who decides what an area that needs to be freezed is, and also is this an individual thing? Is this a company thing? Because a lot of properties are now owned. Well, anyway, Claudia, I mean, are there any other changes yeah?
Yes, here, listen to this. Yes, any other changes? I'll tell you, the government, again, everybody has problems in renting properties. Yeah? Not, well, everybody. I mean, the youth, we're having all these problems like in many countries.
Yeah.
What is the real solution? Isn't it to build more properties? I think so.
Affordable housing. I will get on my box now and start going.
This is the solution. Well, they have decided that the solution is that landlords who rent their property holiday rentals must convert into long-term rentals. This is their solution. So this is my conclusion, okay? Because what is happening with the licenses is crazy. So the first license they created was the Declaración Responsable, where you decided to rent your house for holidays and you had to say that your house had an air conditioning unit, had a safety kit, you had a complaints book, etc., etc. You had this license and then you were obliged to, like the hotels, to inform the police about all your guests. Last year, they decided, apart from this license, you needed a new one called the CRU code, which is Código de Registro Único. This was granted by the property registry. Once you had that Código de Registro Único, now your guests need to inform about your guests to the Ministry Interior of Affairs platform. And now you have to do it with a digital certificate and you need to tell them the name of all your guests, with their passport, with your birth date, with their telephone number, with their email, and with their address. Okay? Instead of police, now it's to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Okay. We thought that was enough. This year, they've decided that anybody who's renting out or rented out last year, 25, you need to file a declaration to the property registry declaring the number, again, that you have, the CRU, the number of guests, the date they go in, your guests, the dates they go out. You also need to register any empty dates. So all the 365 days of the year have to be recorded. Okay. And this declaration needs to be filed by the end of February this year in respect of 25. Now, if you do not do it, there's no fine. It's even worse. They remove your CRU. If you don't have this CRU, you cannot announce your property in an Airbnb platform or booking platform. So, people, Spence Clarke is ready for you to file this declaration for you, deadline being the end of February, and the punishment is greater than a fine because without your CRU, you will not be able to announce your property in Booking and Airbnb in any of the platforms. So there we are.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like...
It's crazy.
And the dates that people weren't there as well. I mean...
And the dates that people were not there as well. I honestly, I've talked with my staff saying, why do they need to know the dates they go in and the dates they go out? What information is that? They already have it from the other place anyway, because when you give the information to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, you have to give the dates anyway. I don't understand. They must be thinking of something that I don't understand. I don't know if you have any ideas.
Maybe there's some Porsche functionarios out there that, that
That's why I said that I only think they're doing this to persuade people from renting holiday homes. And this is their solution instead of building more properties.
Oh, they just want to drive them to well, we can have a whole discussion about the hotel lobby in Spain traditionally. What about, here in Andalusia, obviously Costa del Sol, or the other coasts as well. A lot of regional changes. Anything new this year for Andalusia?
Andalusia has been particularly active again. For example, there are changes affecting the way donations need to be declared. They are not dramatic. It's just about fine-tuning the conditions under which family transfers can benefit from the gift tax reduction in Andalusia. The most relevant point is that Andalusia has clarified the documentation requirements. For example, if you receive a gift under 5,000 euros from your parent, you don't need to sign a deed before the notary so that you can apply the exemption. If the amount is over that amount, you now have to go to the notary. There is a specific wording that needs to be included, confirming that the funds have been transferred before the signature. The timing of the bank transfer has to match the execution of the deed. And if that sequence is wrong, of course, the tax office will have like an open window to go and check that. There is also more focus on the Andalusia side on gifts between siblings and other non-direct relatives, because while Andalusia maintains a very good general reduction for parent to children and vice versa gifts, where actually you pay almost no tax, gifts between siblings, uncles, and nephews do not enjoy those benefits. So the tax office is putting the focus on that. Apart from this, there are also a set of deductions that people will start to notice.
Well, what kind of deductions are we going to be sort of noticing then?
So you want to go into detail. For example, Andalusia has introduced a deduction which has been on the press for sports and gym expenses. And you can deduct up to 15% of gym memberships, sports club, federated sports activities. This includes golf, which can be interesting for people in the Costa del Sol. If you pay your annual federation cost, which is around 90 euros, you can get a 15% discount on that. And there is a limit of 100 euros per person, of course.
Because in the Costa del Sol, some of the golf clubs, everybody's suddenly
paying no tax at all. No. They know that, so they apply some limits. There is also a new deduction for bed expenses, 30% of certain bed cost, with again a limit of 100 euros. This is for the first year you have the pet, but if the animal is adopted, you can apply that for 3 years. So it's like they want people to adopt more than...
That is really good.
Yeah, okay.
It's an incentive.
We'll give them that, yeah?
Yeah.
Also, more things like the rental deduction, which...
This is Andalusia, remember?
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
It's not the central government. Don't be confused. So there is the rental deduction that was in place has been expanded. It applied to people under 35 or over 65. Sorry. And always if your income is under 25,000 euros. So you can deduct up to 1,200 euros per year, or even more, up to 1,500 if in some disability cases. So, there is also 100 euros for families with celiac members.
Which celiac is?
Celiaco.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I just said, so those deductions for young people, is that off the rent that they pay? Or?
The one that you pay.
Okay. Now, vehicles, because everybody was saying electric vehicles, and again, politicians are saying yes. If you're living in Madrid, that's you're near a power point or whatever. Great, but
until you go to Sierra Nevada.
Exactly. So what is
this is good. Any in your income tax declaration, if you buy electric vehicle or you do any improvements in your properties, this is extended to this year, and these deductions are compatible with any other that your autonomous community has. So if it's not one or the other, it's both, and then it's also compatible with the plan moves, which is the grants that you get when you purchase an electric vehicle.
Okay, so that's to. Here's a question coming in then. Did we hear correctly? It's going back to the siblings, and the gifts. Did I hear correctly that gifts between siblings are not tax-free, so sort of a brother and a sister, but from parents to child? So can a child gift the parent who then gifts another child?
Yes.
It applies in both ways.
Right.
Yeah. That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. So what about the situation with the electric vehicles, because they're trying to promote the environment, etc., etc. What about companies? I mean, we talked about sort of being autonomous, but what about smaller companies, etc.?
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm going to say something partially good from the government, and that's why I'm saying that.
I'm coming after you to say something.
No, I mean, because there was a plan that started last year in 2025 to reduce the corporation tax rates progressively until 2029. And now in 2026, still these reductions apply again. So companies with a turnover under 10 million euros, the corporation tax rate is 23%. It was 24 in 2025, and it will be 22 next year. If the net income of the company is under 1 million euros, there is a split corporation tax rate, 19% of the first 50,000 euros and 21% on the above. It was 21 and 22% before. For new companies, there are still some favorable corporation tax rates of 15% for the first years of profit. There is also, which is something that the EU and the OECD were discussing, for the first time, very large multinational groups with revenue over 750 million euros will be subject to a global minimum corporation tax of 15%. So this will apply to Spanish parent companies, to foreign subsidiaries of Spanish groups, to Spanish subsidiaries of foreign groups. And the aim is to worldwide to prevent large corporations from shifting profits to low jurisdictions. So in the end, for normal companies and ordinary companies, there are not life-changing measures, but these help.
Claudia, you were going to say something about this, and we've only got 4.5 minutes, okay? Before we do the overview, so tell me.
No. I was just going to say that all the government, what you would say in England or in the UK, it's all smoke and mirrors. Yes, this is
very good. Yes,
this is what Javier and I has. What can you take? Can you get something essential from it? Nothing. There's nothing. It's all smoke and mirrors. And so, and how can they do anything if they have not approved the budget for 3 years? They have no majority, so they can't govern. So what is going to happen this year?
Yes, look into the crystal ball.
It's going to be worse because there's elections next year. So all these rubbish talks about things impossible are going to be published. And I would say to all you taxpayers, stay informed, but do not rely on all the publications, because until they are real legislation, don't take them into account. That's it.
Okay, and we got through the whole thing without referring to my favourite tax, which, as we know, is the huge cigarette tax. The grandes fortunas.
The time will come.
The time will come. So what you really need in this situation, in this these uncertain waters of the Hacienda, as we don't know what they're going to be doing or what they're saying.
Yes.
I mean, I was watching I was watching the Noticias yesterday, and I was like, what? And people are losing their minds about the 500,000, the amnesty that's coming out as well, and they're thinking, okay, and people are shouting and the whole thing. But it's very confusing. So what you need is somebody or a company or a professional outfit who can take you by the hand and lead you through 2026. Now, how do people get in touch with you guys?
Yes, we've been in Spain more than 40 years, so we are very, very reliable. Spence Clarke, telephone 952-822943. Visit our webpage as well, www.spenceclarke.com.
And of course, there's the blog as well, which is updated all the time. It's very user-friendly.
And we also have a newsletter that we send twice a month. So you can subscribe by logging into our webpage, and you just press the button subscribe to the newsletter so that you can be updated on all these measures. And
if you're thinking of becoming tax resident and you don't know how much tax you're going to pay, you can always visit our free calculator that we have on our webpage as well.
Marvellous. And of course, it's always a very personal service, I know, because friends of mine are using you guys at the moment, and they have remarks on the service that you provide. So friendly, and you need somebody like this because it's going to be a very interesting year if we do or if we don't get a budget.
Yep. Fantastic, yes.
Just give me the website one more time, please.
www.SpenceClarke, Spence with an E, Clarke ends with an E as well, .com.
As always, Harry and Claudia, lovely to have you in the studio. Very impassioned stuff in there. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Bye.